this time.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we reject the amendments and we reject the contract with Blackwater.
I need to refer to a parliamentarian.
So the parliamentary could consider. There was a motion at the last board meeting already to direct staff to revise the agreement and to bring it back, and that's just this item. And before we get into the actual discussion by the board, I would like to have the staff's report on the revisions that were requested, what revisions were made, and
We can discuss
why.
that. First of all,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Point of order here, please. May I ask the parliamentarian?
Just to be clear, I'm not asking for any action. I'm just
We are-
asking for additional information
But that would come in our discussion.
before the board action.
I was going to make the motion to approve the memorandum of understanding, and then we go from there, right? I'm sorry, we're not in this discussion.
What is posted on the agenda is the motion to approve the amended memorandum of understanding that has been introduced by Dr. Roach. On the floor currently is the motion to approve the amended memorandum of understanding.
And we are voting on the six amendments that were proposed at our last board meeting that we will be voting.
So point of clarification, I cannot make a motion to reject the
Not yet.
proposal?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
You're not, be quiet. Yes, parliamentarian, would you please answer?
The question is, can you make a motion to
Reject.
reject
Yes.
the motion?
Which is the motion I made before.
Defeating the motion is rejecting it. So to make a motion, which is already on the floor, would be inappropriate.
I'm sorry, for clarification, was this motion carried over from the last meeting?
No.
Or just, I'm sorry, wait, because you said that there was a motion already on the floor. And I may have blanked out, but I thought the first,
This is the motion.
well, no, just a point of clarification. I didn't hear anybody, the only motion that I heard presented to the board was trustee Violet's motion to reject, trustee Violet's motion. And her motion was not the one that you described. So who made the motion that you just presented to me on the table?
I believe the chair indicated that the next item of business was item 16A, which is in the posted agenda.
Yes?
That is making the motion to amend.
I'm sorry, there's no motion. That's what I said, who made the motion to approve that?
The chair moved the motion 16A. It's
I-
an action item on the
It's an
posted
action
agenda.
item, and I
And you
move-
approved to modify the agenda to hear 16A following oral communication.
And Mrs. Baidomi interrupted before I could make the motion. So therefore,
I'll defer to you.
okay. So the motion is to approve the amended memorandum of understanding, the MOU rather, for the period of January 31, 2009 through December 31, 2013, inclusive at no cost to the district. Now, and then I open it up. And I need a second. Is there a second on the motion? Okay, a second. Now we open it up for discussion.
Just before we get into the merits of it, I just want to give the President the opportunity to inform the public of the amendments, because not everybody has actually seen them, and to explain the rationale for the revisions that were presented.
Thank you, Madam President. In the last board meeting, we were directed to address 6 concerns of the amendments which was the amendments which were proposed. So I would just go, the first amendment was amend termination clause to provide a 4-month written notice of termination by either party. The second amendment, which was asked by the board or directed by the board, was amend the confidentiality clause to limit its application solely to proprietary information relating to XE Services LLC business activities such as methods, processes, clients, etc. Third, eliminate binding arbitration clause. Fourth, make California law the applicable law. Fifth, eliminate the clause that give XE Services LLC the contractual right to use SWC facilities. Sixth, eliminate clause for reimbursement for XE Services LEC. During the negotiation process, XE Services LLC agreed to district recommended revision. The contract has been reviewed by the district legal counsel, Miller, Brown, and Dennis. The MOU supports the use of the XE Services LLC facility, U.S. Training Center, Southwest Inc., located at 7685 Saint-Pierre Riviera Road, San Diego, California, for the purpose of firearm training as part of the requirement for the Southwestern College Police Academy program.
Additional information I received this afternoon, matrix identifying the cost of use of and or availability of the use of other ranges within a reasonable, I think for the San Diego County, I couldn't tell entirely. And could the president describe what that is and what options, if any, are available to our students that are within reasonable distance from Southwestern College?
I might add that that's available for the public. In fact, there's a few copies of the same matrix.
Well, that's what it may not be available to everybody. That's why I'm asking that the president go through it.
Madam President, Mr. Edward, we looked at various ranges which we feel are in existence in the San Diego County. We looked at San Diego Regional Training Center firearm range, and is not open to use by the SWC or other private public entities. Miramar Sheriff Range, and we explained also the distance and so on, but range will close for lead cleanup and renovation in May, June 2009. Future availability and cost is uncertain at this time, therefore range is unable to meet the requirements of the program. San Diego Police Department firearm range, the range is only available for the agency during the week and for special events on weekends, not ongoing activities. Therefore, range is unable to meet the requirements of the program. And Madam President, these conclusions, therefore the range is unable to meet the requirements of the program, are drawn by our director of the academy program. So it is a knowledgeable person who is coming to that conclusion. Discount gun indoor range not open to use by SWC. Project 2000 shooting range facility 2082 Willow Glen Drive. Consistent availability of the range is not guaranteed. Therefore, range is unable to meet the requirements of the program. Discount gun indoor range not open to use by SWC. American Shooting Center. Consistent availability of the range is not guaranteed, therefore range is unable to meet the requirements of the program. SD Gun and Rod Club, consistent availability of the range is not guaranteed, therefore range is unable to meet the requirement of the program. U.S. Training Center, Southwest Inc., that's what we are talking about, no cost to the district. The district has an existing MOU for use of the range at the U.S. Training Center, Southwest. This agency range accommodated the police academy scheduling needs and meet the requirements of the program.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Saucedo.
If it's all right, with Dr. Chopra's authorization, I would like to go ahead and hear from our staff who are actually in charge of the program. Do we have anyone here that?
Do we have
I would like to call upon the dean from Otimesa here, and I'm sure, oh, here is. Would you please?
Good evening. Well, what I would like to do, and thank you for this opportunity, is perhaps start by providing a little bit of background information on the Police Academy that might be helpful. First of all, the Southwestern College Police Academy has been in existence since 1984. It's a very valued program, and it is currently housed at the Higher Education Center at Otay Mesa. The Southwestern College Police Academy is a non-affiliated police academy, which means that it is not tied to any one particular law enforcement agency, and so anyone is welcome to apply. The way the police academy is structured is that it is an extended program. It is a 10.5-month program, and it is offered in an evening and weekend program structure. Students attend classes Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings, and all day Saturdays. Every year we offer 2 academies, one that starts in January, another one that starts in July. Each one of those academies can accommodate up to 35 students. So every year we are training up to 70 students. As part of these academies, we also accept students from the Grossmont College Police Academy because their academy only offers part of what is required for certification. So they take the first part of the police academy at Grossmont and then transfer into our program. The Police Academy graduates who become certified through our program meet basic requirements for employment in municipal, county, and state law enforcement agencies, as our Police Academy is certified by the California Commission on Peace Officers Standards and Training, also known as POST. In addition to these 2 police academies that we run every year, the Police Academy also offers a post-certified requalification course for people in law enforcement who have had a break in their service and want to return to their field, and also an arrest and firearms course. All of these courses, the 2 police academies and the 2 additional courses, require that students have access to firing ranges. And there are a minimum number of hours that these students have to train at a range that include both daytime and evening hours. In the fall of 2008, the Police Academy director informed the dean of the need to look for an alternative range, as the one that was being used, the Miramar Sheriff's Range, would no longer be available for consistent scheduling on Saturdays. And again, that's our daytime, that's our day. The other 3 days are evenings. And again, we're required to train shooting both daytime and evening hours. In addition to the inconsistency of the scheduling, for example, we were told that we could no longer schedule the range in advance, so we couldn't plan out our training dates. We were also starting to receive calls from the range canceling our scheduled sessions. But again, in addition to that, we were also informed that the range would close sometime in the summer of 2009 for renovation and lead removal. And they were all unable to tell us whether after that renovation the range was going to be available to Southwestern College beyond that time. So research was conducted, and Dr. Chopra just went through our findings, and it was determined that using the U.S. Training Center Southwest, owned by Z Services, was the best option, as it allowed us to meet the training needs of our students in the Police Academy. And those needs are, first of all, that their availability meets our scheduling needs. Secondly, the quality of the facility is superior, and the proximity to the Higher Education Center at Otay Mesa, where the Police Academy is housed, is less than a mile away. And lastly, the use of this facility would come at no cost to the district or to the students.
Yes, are you here? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to speak against the motion. And primarily, I mean, I understand, and I have no question at all about the beauty of the facilities and the accessibility and the fact that no cost. And I also want to reiterate what one of the comments made is that there is no such thing as free. There's no such thing as no cost. I mean, we're giving all good name for somebody. And I know some of the speakers were very dramatic, but I actually have followed this corporation for the last few years. I remember reading about the atrocities that were done in Iraq, and the fact that the U.S. canceled their contract. So it's not, I mean, it's not a lot of grandstanding, but I personally have followed this. And so I tend to agree with the comments made about the fact that we cannot give up our good name for the sake of something that is, quote, free, or something that is very accessible. I would urge the board, I would urge my colleagues to please vote against this, and I'm sure that we can be creative in finding a place that is accessible, that meets the needs of our students, and with Congressman Bob Filner feeling as strong as he is, I'm sure he will help us find a facility that will meet the needs of our students. The fact that, I saw it in the paper that there's 4 lawsuits, and the national media is going to be here. It's not going to go away. We're going to be caught in the middle of this muddy, ugly scenario. And I don't think it's something that we want our students to be part of. I mean, we have to be ethical, and we have to make the position, we have to take the stand against, what's good for the college and what we think may be like, a no cost. So I would urge my colleagues to vote against this, and let's be creative and come up with another solution of where we can have our academy students practice.
Before getting into the merits, a clarification for some of the revisions, specifically the revision about the gag order, i.e. confidentiality clause. And I see that you've made some revisions, but item 7, which is the item that in the original agreement entitled media, is the one that caused the problem. So I wanted further explanation as to the nature of those revisions and why media was particularly targeted as opposed to anybody else for the application of item 7. Also, item 9, there was a specific request that the reimbursement clause be eliminated, and I see that in the revised revision, item 9, that the reimbursement clause is still in the agreement. So I'd like staff to address the rationale for that before getting into the merits of the motion.
Dr. Shelter? Do you want to call on staff for that, or would you?
Excuse me, Trustee Aguilar, if I can ask for clarification. Can you indicate on the agreement where that clause is stated that talks about reimbursement?
Well, let's go first in order. Item 7, which is entitled media in this revised agreement, and it was entitled media in the initial agreement. And that's a provision that originally caused one of the problems of the gag order, excluding the media and not allowing the colleagues to make any statement without the prior approval, etc. And I've noticed that you've made some revisions, but I want to hear your explanation as to why the media is specifically targeted in this one, and why, for example, couldn't have been entitled, or could be entitled, facility access, because that's in reading the content. It talks about who should be accessing the facility. And if you delete, in the second sentence, if you delete media, it says no other person, presumably, no other person or organization, presumably that would cover media, it would take care of it. So I want to know why it is that the media was specifically left in there when, in fact, if not, I recognize that the model that I gave didn't explicitly ask to not target media, but that was a very strong implication. So, but I want to hear from both you and even legal counsel as to the implications for targeting a specific group for this exclusion while not targeting others.
I'll go ahead and basically we left that in only because that was not one of the items that was listed as being required to be revised. But we did have our legal counsel look at that, and the language that currently exists in the amended contract is what was recommended by legal counsel as something that would be more appropriate for us to keep this particular clause in.
I wouldn't draw too much from just the heading of a particular paragraph or section.
Well, but it's actually in text, starting the second sentence, there's no media.
Correct. I was going to get to that point.
Okay.
So really what the provision provides is to who has access.
Right.
And you're right, Trustee Aguilar. The second sentence talks about that no media or other persons or organizations under the district's control will be permitted to enter the facility without written consent by the agency.
Yeah, the rest of the sentence, I think you've done an excellent job of making it clear that the college is not going to have to get prior permission to talk about the training that goes on there for our students, or talk about the police academy. But part of the problem of the original MOU was the quote gag order and exclusion of the media specifically. And unless there's, what is the rationale for specifically including media as an identifiable group? Why can't you just delete media and just say other persons, organizations, et cetera, et cetera?
I think it highlights an issue. It's trying to add clarity to what the access rights are of persons, organizations, including the media. I don't think there's anything in the paragraph that suggests a gag order or any restriction. In fact, there are recognitions as to what is required by law. That's going to be respected. And there also is protection about disclosure of proprietary information. But it really goes no farther than that.
So would there be any problem in deleting the reference to the media, both with the title and the content?
If that was the desire of the board, it's a possibility. I from a legal standpoint, I don't see that it adds or detracts much from the substance of that provision.
Okay. Now going on to item number 9. In the original agreement, that's where the clause of reimbursement resided. And in this revised agreement, I could have missed it, but I didn't see any revisions to number 9, paragraph 9. And I see specifically that reimbursement, the reference to reimbursement is still the same. And that was one of the specific items that was directed to be deleted from as part of the revision.
I apologize, Trustee Aguilar. Where exactly is that on the new agreement?
It's on page 4 at the bottom, number 9, non-obligation document. It's also the same title in the old agreement, non-obligation document. It's the second line, actually the third line if you take the title. It's about the middle of the first sentence. Since this agreement is neither fiscal nor, second sentence. Any endeavor or transfer of anything of value involving reimbursement or contribution of funds, et cetera, et cetera. And that was in the revised agreement. In the original agreement, that second sentence says, any endeavor or transfer of anything of value involving reimbursement or contribution of funds, et cetera, et cetera. So there was absolutely no revision made of this clause when there was a specific direction from the board for the motion to delete it.
In the original agreement that was submitted to the board in January, there was section D that talked about we talked about reimburse agency for the use of personnel required to operate the range, as well as provide agency the use of.
I'm sorry, what picture are you looking at?
This is at the original agreement.
Yeah, what page?
Page 2, section D.
Section D, okay.
That was the direction that the staff was provided was to delete that section that made reference to the use of conference rooms as well as to reimburse the agency for personnel. That is no longer part of the amended agreement. That's the clause that was deleted.
Okay, well, but I don't think, I see. So there, as opposed to just deleting references to reimbursement.
Well,
no, if you could explain then the implications or the significance of
I think what's
reimbursement.
what's helpful in maintaining paragraph 9
yes.
is that it clearly states that there is to be no reimbursement. This agreement does not deal with exchange of money for service, vice versa. And in that paragraph 9, it says there's no such authority for that in this agreement. If that is going to be necessary, exchange of money, then that
would have to be a new
agreement.
agreement.
That's right. We need to enter into either an amendment or an additional agreement that would explain and provide for that.
Okay, well, that was very helpful because to point that out and to make it clear that this reference to reimbursement in item 9 in no way obligates or imposes or creates an obligation by the college to provide Z any reimbursement of any type unless there is a prior agreement from the board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes, Dr. Dominguez.
are we in discussion now?
Yes, we are.
A couple of comments here. You know, this is not an easy decision. It is obviously it's charged with a lot of controversy, and there are two sides to this coin. One of them is our duty to provide the best services to our students. Because we understand it's a controversial organization we're dealing with, we asked staff to go and take a look to see if we could find an alternative, because our minds are not shut to other options. Unfortunately, what we found so far is that it appears that there are no other alternatives. With all due respect to Trustee Via the Lid, I think it's a little short-sighted to just say that maybe Bob Fillner or somebody's going to find a solution for us. That may or may not happen. So, it's a difficult thing to do. What I would like to do at this point, see if I can do this, Mr. Parliamentarian, is to make a motion to table this item. We're in the middle of a motion already, so that we can look into it further, because I am not opposed if we can find an alternative solution to this, to using that solution. But at this point, it doesn't appear it's all like maybe or perhaps. I'd like to be sure that there is or isn't another solution, and if there is, then the board can consider that one as well.
Okay. For clarification,
I made a motion, I'm waiting for the...
You want a substitute motion?
Yes, for clarification from the parliamentarian.
Dennis Spillane, parliamentarian. The motion to table would not be appropriate at this time. If you would like to have further consideration of the motion to amend the memorandum of understanding, you can make a motion to refer the motion back to staff, which in fact takes the document that you have before you now, the original and the amendment, back to staff, and then we continue to work on the document.
I'd like to make a motion to refer this item back to staff.
Second.
For parliamentarian, is there, what I would like to do is submit a substitute motion. And I don't want to further confuse. I want to make sure that I'm proceeding in a parliamentary manner.
Mr. Parliamentarian?
It is appropriate to submit a substitute motion for the motion to refer.
I would like to then propose a substitute motion and a motion to refer. And my substitute motion is, that's what I was trying to get clarification, so whether you were asking for a substitute motion or a new motion.
I want a motion to refer this back to staff, so I wanted to.
And what
And I thought it was seconded, I'm sure.
yes.
And there was discussion.
Okay.
Well, but I am asking from the parliamentarian to whether it would be appropriate to put on the table a substitute motion on the motion to refer. Or whether the motion to refer is indeed a substitute motion on the original motion.
Madam President, before if I can just come in and I've been given the floor.
I'm sorry, point of order, we have a question to the parliamentarian before we get into anything else.
Right, but
Mrs. Salcedo has something to add to that.
and the board chair has given me the floor. And the reason that I'm interjecting is that we can go ahead and make motion upon motion upon motion, and we can keep on going. And it's getting really super confusing. Now, my issue here is that What we are making motion upon motion about is about an amendment. What we are not, and I want to make sure that, because I need to be clear in my mind, that we're not even touching the initial contract. So if the amendment goes back and we go ahead and make all these motions, we're making.
She's talking about the merits of it, and I still need clarification as to whether the motion is
She
appropriate.
still has the.
What I'm asking of my colleagues, is that to take that into consideration, that whatever motion is being made on the amendment. It's not being made, and for us not to think that it's being made to the heart of the contract. So when we come back, we're still going to be dealing with the amendment and never touching the heart of the contract. I just want to go ahead and put that out, because we can make amendments to our amendments until the cows come home, and we're still dealing with the amendment.
Now, Madam President, we get clarification from the parliamentarian on the appropriateness
All
of
right,
the motion.
do we have a clarification then?
And explain parliamentarian, my understanding, the actions that have occurred is you have a main motion on the floor. That main motion is to approve the amended memorandum. There has been a motion placed on the floor to refer that motion back to staff. The question of my understanding from Trustee Aguilera is, can he now substitute another motion for the motion to refer?
Correct.
And he may substitute a motion for the motion to refer.